Good afternoon, friends. Actually, I was not meaning to make this video. I thought I'd give you a week's time for practice of the pranayama, getting into a stable rhythmic breathing of up to count of 10 before we even get into the state of thoughtless awareness. So, but then what instigated me to come up on this video is just I was watching a video where they were talking about wisdom and information and how certain knowledge is forbidden, or at least it's not meant for everyone's eyes, or generally it to be accepted by all because it would reveal things which are not yet ready or not ready or not to be known to everyone. Fine, that's good enough if you are able to maintain secrecy at the official level. But general wisdom for life in general, it is open intelligence. There is no artificiality in that. When you can become open about artificial intelligence, you might as well be open about genuine intelligence, genuine wisdom. In fact, our grandmothers used to give us that wisdom to little children ever since we started playing around them. So, what I wanted to say was, there was while listening to it and I was absorbing it, I was able to understand, but there was a disruption in the visuals. What he wanted to mean by the visuals is that I was giving you crumbs by throwing whereas the number of crows willing to eat was many, but then that visual was so jarringly disturbing the vibrations that I could literally not sit in front of the screen because the vibrations was clashing with the flow of your thought, of your what you wanted to convey, which was very positive, which was very genuine, which was very overflowing, which was coming out of a heart full of wisdom, full of emotion, gratitude, a lot of mixed emotions. But the visual also you wanted to convey, but then it was clashing, and that was being pointed. You would be surprised. The wind was pointing it out to me by blowing from this side, and it was literally blowing that calendar out of the nail on which it was hanging frequently, and every time I was keeping on looking at that what is it trying to tell me. And then the moment I shifted from the screen to the other side, away from the screen in another direction away from the screen, that stopped. So what I want to say was, vibrations clashing with each other is not conducive to gaining wisdom or knowledge. So we should be very conscious of that. And this has been occurring very frequently. What you want to convey is one thing, the visual is conveying one thing, but the words are conveying another thing, and that's creating a more of a turmoil than in synchronicity, resulting in disruption. So this is in consonance in terms of divine wisdom. That is, when you want to align with something, it is in alignment with something higher, with your higher self, with a more peaceful self, or whatever you want to achieve: peace, calm, stability, growth, evolution. It's in sync with divine purpose. Divine never wants us to be suppressed. It wants us to evolve. So when we are in sync, our purpose, our life's our whatever we are doing, life's purpose means doesn't come at the end of our life. It comes in day-to-day actions. When we are in sync with the divine purpose, then the nature will be supportive. It will have an enabling effect. That is, it will not interfere in what you're doing. Like I have noticed that if I feel generally hot, immediately clouds will form in the sky and sort of cooling the atmosphere. Means you have to when you express or when you feel discomfort, it's as though the nature responds, and then the clouds form. A little bit of a shade happens until I pass, like when that heat is passes away. So actually, the nature responds. So we need to be, that is alignment with divine wisdom. So and in if we are able to have that vision, that um, um, ability to connect with everything around us, then it will be favorable. Like for example, I'll just tell you one incident which happened, I think earlier this year, when I'd gone to Trichy and I'd gone to one temple to visit. I had gone particularly to visit that temple, and I wanted to cover two, three temples actually, but the timing was such that they would open only at 4 o'clock, and I had to open. I had to. And both the temples would open only at 4 o'clock, and there was a quite a bit of a distance, and by the time I would finish, this was a big temple, so it would require at least 2-3 hours here. So by the time I would go there, it would be closed, so I had to change a little bit of my plan. So then somebody suggested, why don't you go to visit the I was to go to an Ayurvedic doctor, why don't you go and visit the doctor this evening? I said fine, okay. So since we had dropped the other temple, we were coming, and I phoned this doctor, I'm coming. Immediately, although I had told the doctor tomorrow I'll be coming, because these visits would be over. Immediately a storm picked up. There was clouds gathered from nowhere. There was thunder. There was there was lightning, and there was a really a storm. And the car driver got frightened. He said, "The storms, it's very dangerous. It just takes away the whole vehicle in its stride." So he started panicking. So I said, "What happened? Why are you panicking?" Then suddenly he said, "I received a phone call that my daughter is having fits." So I said, "What happened? Okay, we'll cancel going to that doctor. We'll go to the you will go home." Then he said, no. Then I said, phone your wife and ask her what is the position, whether she. Then he phoned, and immediately she said that I'm already in the hospital, you need not come. And in fact, he didn't reply. So then he only understood that she has already taken to the doctor to the hospital. So then I said, now let's deal with the storm. So I just said, what did we do for the storm to come up? Then I just sat for 2 minutes, and then I realized the plan was to go tomorrow to the dispensary, and I changed the plan to go just now. So I just did a message to the doctor that there seems to be a storm right now. It may not be possible to reach the dispensary by 7 o'clock. Whether we can postpone, whether it is advisable to come today. Then the doctor said, all of a sudden, it's raining here also, madam. I also want to go home. Don't come. So then I said, thank you, doctor, and I cancelled. And then I said, and then I told the driver, yes, the doctor said we won't have to go, so we'll go straight to the hotel. Immediately, instantly, that storm cleared, the rain stopped, there was not a drop on the windscreen, and suddenly the whole thing was quiet. I was wondering, from where did this storm come up then? From where did this, what had generated this all of a sudden a huge drama in that few minutes? So it was when you have planned something divine, and you have stuck to a plan, when you change the course, and which is disrupting the system, it will respond like that with a real genuine storm in the sky. If this can happen with nature, the nature itself responds like that, then how much so of our own computer systems, crashes, with so much of electrical disturbances, the wire breaking down, this and this, that's not normal. So here, it's just logic. When you say logic, information, wisdom, we need to know where we are applying it. So please don't take all this very neither too seriously, nor literally, nor casually. You need to give appropriate weightage where it is due, where what you need to. So when I say it's certain knowledge is not for mass consumption, because people are different at different stages of development. Everything that is shown on a TV or a screen, it becomes available, but all are not ready with that level of development to grasp the wisdom in that information, or the knowledge in what you want to convey in that data, that what you are trying to convey. So that's why are teachers there, why are professors there, why are wisdom keepers there? There are different grades in gurus. In our even in the Rishi lineage, there are teachers, acharyas, gurus, paramagurus, paramahamsa guru. Means there are different levels of gurus according to how much wisdom they carry and how much it becomes available, or it can percolate to the next. So accordingly it is conveyed. Today I was listening to my teacher. He was my teacher at the ashram, whereas we call Gurudev. Gurudev has taught this, the acharyas of the teachers who teach us Vedanta. Tomorrow we might become, but then initially we are becoming a brahmachari, where we teach a small group in a society to the extent they are receptive. Then they also become teachers when they have imbibed. You need to imbibe the thing first. You embody that wisdom, then only you can go to the next level. Otherwise it will be just information gathering. So that is why it is said that wisdom is like that. When you take some water, put sugar, and when you boil it, and then we see, for making syrup, we test the texture of that mix. So when you take a spoon and when you try to pour it, how sharply that drops fall, that indicates the strength of that syrup. So when it is initially just flowing down, that means it's very thin. It is not very strongly sweet. But when it takes some time for that drops to fall, it shows that strength of the sugar in that syrup. So that's how you try to gauge the texture of your mental ability or the intellectual capacity. So when a knowledge is conveyed, when it is disseminated, when it is percolated to other layers, it has to get appropriately diluted or appropriately this. Now, even in your own thing, you have 14 numbers. Every lecture has some number 1 to 14. In that 14, how you spread it out. You go from a certain stage to the final culmination. So accordingly, you can convey the first 3 points only to a certain group. You can't convey all the 14 points to the entire group. They won't be able to digest. After some time, most would have gone to sleep. So we need to see how much needs to be told in one go. And that you gauge by direct interaction, how the response. For that, presence is needed. When you are present, you can gauge just by being present how much has reached your audience. You just know whether that person, it has registered in a person. Just by looking at a person, you can know whether it has registered in or not. The same goes even when you are conveying. So you develop that ability. So it's a different medium. When we are not in a face-to-face classroom, you develop another sixth sense by which you intuitively know how much has gone, how much has reached the person. See you soon. Thank you.